The hit Canadian series Heartland has been filming since 2007 and has been wildly successful. The show is essentially a multi-generational saga set in Alberta, Canada, and centers on a family getting through life together in both happy and trying times. But like many other shows over the past couple of years, Heartland's production schedule has been significantly impacted by the COVID pandemic. So stay tuned and don't go away, because today we're looking at the strict rules the cast of Heartland needs to follow on set. First up, what's it like filming a TV show during a global pandemic? You're about to find out. As you watch your favorite TV show, it probably doesn't seem like the characters are living in a COVID world. And of course, that's intentional. Behind the scenes, however, life looks a lot like our own, and the actors are very much living in the pandemic world. Mask wearing is mandatory on set, and hand sanitizing stations are everywhere. The actors must adhere to all of the health and safety protocols on set, otherwise they won't have a job. All of the children who are on Canadian TV sets must follow the same protocols as well, and this includes 12-year-old actor Ava Tran, who plays the new character Parker on Heartland. In a recent interview, Tran explained, "Everyone has to sanitize their hands like a lot." Amber Marshall, the star of the show who plays Amy, said, "Everyone is trying really hard to make great TV and keep everyone safe. These are just some of the ways that actors have been forced to adapt to new rules while doing their jobs." As pre-production for season 14 was set to start up, the pandemic hit Canada, and a lockdown imposed by the federal government forced everyone to stay at home. Pre-production is a process in TV and film production when there are many in-person meetings. The Heartland team was forced to move their meetings online and use Zoom. Marshall did her best to stay positive and roll with the punches and said, "I live about an hour from Calgary, so I would always be driving in for all of these meetings. So I could just roll over in my pajama bottoms and flick on a Zoom meeting." Next up, what has Canada's pandemic blues been like? Let's take a look. Throughout the pandemic, the daily operations of many Canadians' businesses and industries were ground to a halt. Thousands of businesses across the country, some of which have even been around for nearly a century, were forced to close their doors. Some businesses and industries deemed essential, however, were forced to remain open and adjust their health and safety practices and protocols in accordance with the directions from health experts. The working environment at Heartland had to be adjusted in a similar fashion in order to keep the cast and crew as safe as possible while filming. Everyone is placed in different zones, so actors and crew are only allowed to be close to people assigned to their zone. Everyone also has to take regular COVID-19 tests. A Canadian TV record breaker, Heartland is the longest-running one-hour drama in Canadian television history. Marshall spoke about the show's popularity and said, "There's very few shows that an entire family can watch together. I'm talking about generations, from age 2 to age 92, and all enjoy it together." Heartland is officially back, and the beloved drama is returning for season 15. Of course, if you live in the United States, you won't be able to access the Canadian Broadcasting Corps CBC channels, but not to worry. Previous seasons of Heartland are available on Netflix USA. Sometimes it takes a while for Netflix to catch up on the latest episodes and seasons of the show. However, you can rest assured that the episode list will be updated at some point. Up next, what do we know about Heartland Season 15? If you reside in the US and are looking for Season 14 and 15, you do have a few options. You can look out for Season 15 on UPTV's streaming service called Up Faith and Family. So far, Heartland Season 15 isn't streaming anywhere and may not be available until the summer of 2022 or later. However, since the first 14 seasons are available to stream on Up Faith and Family, there's a good chance the new season will arrive on the platform soon, so just hang tight. Heartland currently has an exclusive streaming deal with UPTV that lasts until March of 2022, and at this time, it's unclear whether or not that deal will be renewed or extended. So far, only seasons 1 through 13 are available on Netflix, so don't expect to see seasons 14 or 15 on the streamer until at least 2022 and possibly 2023 at the latest. Heartland has wrapped filming of season 14, but the producers say government intervention is needed on COVID insurance if the industry is to survive. Producers of the show have found a temporary yet expensive way to insure the series during the COVID-19 pandemic, but they say the costs associated with these measures is unsustainable for the long term. Stay tuned and don't go away, because we've got more of Heartland on the way. Next up, what sort of government intervention are the producers of the show looking for? Let's dig a little deeper. A producer for the series says government intervention on COVID-19 insurance is still urgently needed for the industry's survival. After months of delays, production of the 14th season of the long-running series finally began and is expected to last until the end of the year, employing up to 200 people full-time. Season 14 was initially scheduled for the fall season on CBC, but will now likely air in January. Like many Canadian series, Heartland was put on hold because insurance companies that service the film and TV industry have excluded coverage for COVID-19 going forward. Heartland producer Tom Cox did not want to go into detail about the insurance the show has acquired, but said it was not a permanent solution. Cox had this to say about the ongoing situation. "We resolved it by securing a policy out of the U.S., a very expensive policy, but one that does not have a COVID exclusion to tack onto our normal insurance policy. It's not an ideal scenario, and it's not a sustainable scenario. It's far too expensive for any Canadian show on a sustainable basis, but it looked like it was going to be the only way we could proceed and still make delivery for January." Up next, how has Heartland's appeal in the United States helped save the show's production schedule? Let's find out. It turns out that America's love for the show has helped the series thrive in these challenging times. Producer Tom Cox said, "I have not taken my eye off the ball of securing an industry-wide solution that is still absolutely essential. We have other shows coming up that could not do what Heartland has done, and I would say they are the majority of shows in Canada. They simply will not go without an insurance solution that is backed by either a provincial or federal government." But unlike most Canadian shows, Heartland has a footprint south of the border, and America is only one of dozens of countries where the series is broadcast, and this made acquiring the insurance possible. Cox is part of a growing number of Canadian producers lobbying the federal and provincial governments for an insurance backstop. In June of 2021, the Canadian Media Producers Association offered a new proposal that would allow producers paying premiums to access COVID-19 coverage, which would then be put into a specialized fund to pay off any potential claims. The government would then establish a $100 million backstop that would only be used if the funds made through the sale of policies was not enough to cover any insurance claims. Finally, what will the future hold for the show? The 14th season of Heartland began rolling 2 days before Winona Earp, another series produced by Tom Cox's production company 724 Films, wrapped season 4 in Calgary. Winona Earp was able to continue production because it secured an insurance policy before the pandemic got underway. Winona Earp is a supernatural modern western which airs on CTV Sci-Fi in Canada, and it established a number of safety protocols before filming resumed in July that covered everything from mandatory masks to frequent COVID tests, temperature checks, and hand sanitation stations, fewer extras and visitors to the set, and cast members being forced to quarantine in their own social bubbles or zones. Cox said the show's success in producing the season's final 6 episodes is proof that production can resume safely if all protocols are maintained and adhered to by everyone on set. Both Winona Earp and Heartland worked with PMO Global Services, a Calgary-based consulting firm specializing in health and safety that also helped members of the nearby Canadian oil and gas industry navigate COVID-19. Cox is extremely pleased and proud of how the entire cast and crew of the 2 shows has responded to the strict rules and protocols on set. Cox said, "In the case of both Winona and Heartland, the will to create is strong and will persevere." When Cox was asked if he had anything to say about what Season 14 and 15 would have in store for Heartland fans, he said, "Absolutely nothing, except it's going to be fantastic." It's clear that Cox wants to keep things a secret. Understandable. That's a wrap for today's video, folks. Thanks for watching.